It was supposed to be a quiet afternoon in Chandler, Arizona. A calm suburban neighborhood, a young family, and a backyard pool. But within minutes, silence gave way to panic, and joy collapsed into grief. 3-year-old Trigg Kiser had been missing for only a few minutes when his father Brady found him lifeless in the pool. Emergency responders rushed in, desperate to revive him. Trigg would fight for his life in the hospital for 6 more days, but he would never open his eyes again. His mother, Emily Kiser, a rising TikTok star known for her warm family content, wasn't home when it happened. But when the news broke, a different kind of tragedy began. Not just of a life lost, but of a family's desperate effort to keep the details hidden. What really happened that day? Was this just a terrible accident, or did someone fail to act? And why are the Kisers now fighting so hard to seal the investigation? This case isn't just about grief. It's about truth, accountability, and a powerful social media image now colliding with real-world consequences. If you care about justice, hidden truths, and the stories that unfold behind courtroom doors, don't forget to subscribe to Echoes of the Court. New episodes every week. Before tragedy struck, the Kiser family projected the picture of modern happiness. Emily Kiser, known to her followers simply as Emily, was a rising star in the parenting and lifestyle corner of TikTok. With over 1 million followers, her videos featured glimpses into family life, bedtime routines, toddler tantrums, wholesome moments between her husband Brady and their 2 young sons, Trigg and Theodore. But behind the soft lighting and curated captions was a family stretched thin. Friends noted Emily's increasing exhaustion and Brady's distant, sometimes erratic behavior. There were whispers of tension about parenting roles, screen time habits, and emotional distance. Nothing criminal, nothing obvious. But real life always tells a different story than what's posted online. When Trigg was born, Emily shared heartfelt videos about motherhood, but by the time Theodore arrived, viewers noticed a shift. Emily posted less. Her tone grew somber. There were gaps in her timeline, and fans speculated about postpartum depression. Still, nothing could prepare anyone for what happened next. On May 12, 2025, Emily left the house to run errands. Brady stayed home with the kids. Sometime that afternoon, while tending to baby Theodore, Brady lost track of Trigg. He says it was just 3 to 5 minutes. But in that sliver of time, Trigg wandered outside alone and drowned. When Emily returned, everything had changed. The child she had dressed that morning was now in critical condition, hooked up to machines. She went silent on social media for days. Then came the posts. Vague, sorrowful, full of prayers, but no details. Why? What were they afraid would come out? May 12, 2025, a sunny afternoon in Chandler, Arizona, the kind of day where sprinklers spin in front yards and neighbors wave from driveways. But inside the Kiser home, time stood still. Brady Kiser dialed 911 a panic. His voice was shaking as he told dispatchers that he had found his son in the backyard pool unresponsive. Trigg had no pulse, no breath. Paramedics rushed the child to the hospital. For 6 days he was kept alive by machines until May 18, when he was pronounced dead. The police responded immediately. Chandler officers began interviews that same day. According to the official report, Brady admitted he had been alone with both kids when the drowning occurred. He had stepped away just briefly, he said, to take care of baby Theodore. In that moment, Trigg slipped out of view. But the report noted something else. Investigators discovered that the sliding door to the pool had no child lock, no barriers, and security footage allegedly showed that Trigg had been wandering outside for more than 5 minutes before falling into the water. It wasn't a single lapse, it was a chain of preventable gaps. Despite that, Brady was not arrested. The police concluded their investigation and recommended charging Brady with felony child abuse, Class 4. based on what they called reckless disregard for safety. But the case didn't end there. It took a darker turn when the family, through legal filings, began pushing to seal those reports from the public. What exactly did those pages contain that they were so desperate to hide? As the hospital mourned a life too short, the Chandler Police Department moved swiftly. They combed through home surveillance footage, examined the layout of the backyard, and interviewed both Emily and Brady. The timeline they constructed was troubling. According to their findings, the drowning wasn't a mysterious accident. It was a tragedy set in motion by preventable decisions: an unlocked door, no pool gate, no audible alert system. Officers believed Brady's failure to supervise Trigg crossed a legal threshold from mere negligence into criminal recklessness. But when the case reached the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, everything stalled. After weeks of review, the county attorney made a quiet but powerful decision. No charges would be filed. The official reasoning? Insufficient evidence for a reasonable likelihood of conviction. In other words, not enough to win in court, despite the recommendation from law enforcement. Then came the legal counteroffensive. On May 27, 2025, Emily Kiser filed a petition in civil court not to sue, but to suppress. She requested that police reports, body cam footage, and investigative documents be kept from public release. Her legal team argued that releasing the information could lead to online harassment, AI-generated recreations of the drowning, and emotional trauma for the surviving son. Her request wasn't just to redact names, it sought to erase entire sections of the truth. By early June, a judge granted a temporary sealing order. And by July, Emily's legal team doubled down, petitioning to permanently redact pages from the police file that mentioned the recommended felony charge against Brady. The very existence of that recommendation, they said, could harm the family's mental health and reputation. But critics asked, was this about protection or preservation of image? In the age of social media, could a family's online brand carry more legal weight than a dead child's story? This wasn't a criminal trial. There were no jurors, no cross-examinations, no verdict on guilt or innocence. Instead, the courtroom became a battleground over information, what the public could know, and what a grieving, high-profile family wanted to keep hidden. In the summer of 2025, while Trigg's death faded from headlines, a quieter legal battle was unfolding in Maricopa County Superior Court. At the heart of it was a simple but explosive question. Should the public be allowed to see the police recommendation to charge Brady Kiser with felony child abuse? Emily's lawyers said no. They argued that the document, if released, would be weaponized online. They warned of viral misinformation, of TikTok hate mobs, of cruel AI recreations showing a toddler drowning, all based on misunderstood facts. The Kisers claimed they were already facing a torrent of online abuse and that full transparency would only re-traumatize their surviving son. But transparency advocates pushed back. They reminded the court that police reports are, by default, public record, that this wasn't a fantasy drama, it was the death of a child, and that the people had the right to know whether the justice system had in fact chosen silence over accountability. Even more disturbing, the motion didn't just seek redaction of private details. It asked to strike out entire conclusions reached by law enforcement, specifically the officer's detailed justification for recommending charges. Legal analysts warned, if the motion succeeded, it could set a precedent. Any public figure with a PR crisis and legal team could simply erase uncomfortable truths from official records. In a rare move, the court scheduled a full evidentiary hearing to weigh the issue, pitting grief, reputation, and the right to privacy against the principle of open justice. What would the court choose to protect? A child's memory or the family's image? On the 25th of July, 2025, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office made it official. Brady Kiser would not be charged in the death of his son. The office acknowledged that the police had recommended felony child abuse, but said the evidence didn't meet the high burden required for criminal conviction. It was the end of the road, at least, legally. But for many watching the case unfold, it didn't feel like justice. It felt like vanishing accountability. The Kiser family issued no public statement beyond Emily's social media posts, cryptic reflections about healing, grief, and the power of prayer. There was no courtroom appearance, no apology, no reckoning. Just silence and legal motions to keep it that way. Meanwhile, Trigg was buried. A 3-year-old boy whose voice had filled viral videos was now the subject of sealed documents, redacted timelines, and debates over privacy rights. For Trigg, there was no advocate in the courtroom. For the public, there was no clarity. And for prosecutors, there was no appetite for war against a sympathetic mother and father, especially one with over 1 million fans online. Legal experts noted that the decision not to prosecute was likely strategic. A quiet dismissal avoids spectacle, but it also avoids closure. Emily's motion to redact parts of the police report is still pending. If granted, future journalists, lawyers, and citizens may never know the full findings of the investigation, only what the family allowed the public to see. This case wasn't just a tragedy. It became a blueprint for how to legally bury scandal in the age of influence. And the message it sends is chilling. If your brand is strong enough, truth becomes optional. There is no grave quiet enough to silence the questions left behind. Trigg Kiser's death will not result in criminal charges. His story may never reach a jury. And if his parents succeed in court, even the details of what went wrong, the recommendations of seasoned investigators, the evidence of neglect, the decisions made behind closed doors may be erased from public record. But what lingers is not just sorrow, it's a deeper discomfort with how fame intersects with justice. Would the average parent in Arizona have received the same leniency if their child drowned in a pool without safeguards? Would the state decline to prosecute if the case didn't involve 1 million followers, a curated digital persona, and a legal war chest ready to fight every detail? There's no easy answer. Some argue that this was a tragic accident, pure and simple, that Brady was a loving father who made a fatal mistake, not a criminal, that Emily, a grieving mother, is entitled to privacy and peace. But others see something more corrosive. A playbook emerging where wealth, online image, and reputation management can influence not just perception, but outcomes. A justice system that becomes more forgiving when its subjects are photogenic, beloved, and viral. Trigg never had a say in any of this. He had no lawyer, no PR team, no platform to speak from. And now, perhaps, no legacy beyond whispers sealed inside court files. As this case fades from the headlines, one final question remains. If we allow grief and fame to obscure truth, who will speak for the next child who doesn't come home? Thank you for watching Echoes of the Court. If this story moved you, unsettled you, or left you with more questions than answers, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts below. Because in every courtroom drama, the echoes don't end with the verdict, they begin where the silence starts.